You know manipulation exists. You've probably read about cognitive biases and propaganda techniques. But beneath all the noise, there are exactly 4 structural methods used to hack a human mind. Not 400, 4. This diagram shows the mind's operating system. It runs on 4 interconnected loops: intelligence to detect patterns, knowledge to learn, grounding to check reality, and identity to maintain a sense of who you are. They constantly feed into one another. Beneath that system sit 3 bedrock foundations. For any belief to be valid, it has to eventually trace back to one of these: a direct physical experience, observable physical evidence, or a genuine human encounter. If a belief, no matter how complex or well-argued, cannot ultimately drop an anchor into one of those 3 physical realities, it is structurally unsound. The problem is that most of what we believe today doesn't sit anywhere near that bedrock. If you are looking at a scientific model or debating a political ideology, you are operating several conceptual layers above raw physical reality. This diagram illustrates that vertical distance between your abstract beliefs at the top and the physical bedrock at the bottom. We call this empty space the grounding gap. Every conceptual layer inside that gap is a blind spot. Your brain's normal reality checks fail to operate here because there is nothing physical to bump up against. Manipulation is the act of secretly injecting corrupted data into this blind spot. By the time you try to verify your beliefs, you are checking them against a chain of evidence that has already been tampered with. 4 tools corrupt this chain. First, filtering, a curated stream systematically distorting the picture. Second, entanglement, multiple causes tightly knotted, making causation muddy. Third, construction, genuine evidence deliberately engineered for a specific conclusion. Finally, performance, a real interaction, but the persona is a calculated script. These 4 tools bypass your cognitive defenses because the evidence itself appears real. Your internal reality check passes. The system cannot detect a corrupted origin. Those 4 tools are just the mechanisms. Where those tools are aimed determines the type of attack you face. There are 5 specific target zones. Strategy 1 is capturing the model. By framing issues with false dilemmas, manipulators dictate the logical space before you even start thinking. Strategy 2 overwhelms the foundations. By introducing fear, the brain's priority instantly shifts from seeking understanding to demanding control. Strategy 3 breaks the checking process. The evidence might be fine, but the logical inference connecting it to a belief is quietly sabotaged. Strategy 4 weaponizes identity. By demonizing opponents as mindless threats, it eliminates any possibility of a genuine corrective human encounter. Strategy 5 reshapes the architecture. External pressures warp your cognitive structure to build compliance. When a coordinated effort triggers all 5 strategies, it creates a cascade. Corrupted intelligence feeds corrupted knowledge, enforcing rigid identity, demanding more control. Because these cognitive loops are deeply coupled, a localized manipulation inevitably infects the entire architecture. Once the structure is compromised, arguing over isolated facts becomes completely irrelevant. This is why standard logical defenses fail. Fact-checking and media literacy offer 0 protection if your foundational emotional layer has already been overwhelmed by fear, or if the underlying structure of how you think is compromised. The ultimate defense requires fixing the architecture itself. This is a practice called the categorical return. The categorical return is the deliberate act of periodically bypassing all of your abstract models to touch raw, unmediated reality. It means seeking out physical observation and having unscripted conversations with people who actively disagree with you. The size of your grounding gap is a structural choice. The more abstract your thinking becomes, the larger your attack surface grows. Making this physical return to bedrock isn't optional. It is mandatory to keep the system intact. Think about the things you feel absolutely certain about. How many conceptual layers actually separate those beliefs from your own direct physical experience? Have you ever manually traced a core belief all the way back down to the bedrock? Or have you unknowingly allowed your entire informational environment to be curated and filtered by someone else? Recognizing the mechanics of this architecture is the only viable defense you have against the modern barrage of algorithms and viral outrage. Because the most successful, sophisticated manipulation doesn't feel like an attack. It mimics the sensation of finally understanding.
It feels exactly like discovering the truth.